Fine, here we go. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner. Classic us known classics. This is episode number 3322, Doubleshot number 3216. I have a Titan trade and a Marvel trade to discuss. The Marvel trade is the last one for this trade series. So we have from the 12th Doctor, we have 12th Doctor Fractures. I believe this is the second volume for this one. Yep, second volume. This contains issues 6 to 10 of the series of this particular book. Now, those might be asking, did this have a year in 2 and 3 like 10, 11? It did. Yes, of course, it's Peter Capaldi and Claire Oswald, obviously. Yep. So, this is, I'm guessing, between one of the seasons, presumably. So yeah, mostly put here's what happened. So we're at Cole School, London. So I'm presuming this is set during Capaldi's second year, because I mentioned Cole Hill School. We have this kid swinging around, and we have this weird guy. It looks like some X-Men comics pop up here. And it turns out it's actually this kid's father. And the girl's name is Molly. Then we have these aliens pop up. We see the TARDIS, which, yes, this is the TARDIS that was appeared during Capaldi's run. The circle thing was something he attached to the interior of this. Like, he basically showed this off during his debut story, where he basically told her after he regenerated, "I'm not your boyfriend." And he said this, we had to put these things back up because it missed the circle things, because the circle things are a nod to the classic era, which good on basically who Steve Moffat requests basically put those in. So, and then we have cut to Kate Stewart at the Tower of London, which, yes, this is they say it's new headquarters. So now it's called Unified Intelligence Task Force. I did explain this to my Doctor Who reviews, and of course, yes, I'm viewing this on my Comic Corner instead of, like, let's say, my Doctor reviews. Okay, so the reason why they had to change from United Nations Task Force to Unified Intelligence Task Force, because the real life UN sued BBC over this name, and they had to change it. Despite the fact this was named in the 70s, that 60s, 70s, and 80s, and no issue with that at all. I think because basically it was brought back. Like, that's the weird thing related to the name change. Because, like, despite the fact this group debuted in 1969 with the story Invasion, it was called United Nations Task Force. As a matter of fact, throughout the entire time, popped up in the 70s and a few times in the 80s. Heck, even in the 90s for these original stories, the division thing stand for United Nations Intelligence Task Force. Heck, even when they brought back for New Who, still called by that name. They didn't finally change the name of this damn thing until when Matt Smith was... Actually, it wasn't Matt Smith. It was David Tennison. All because of a cease and desist. I think some people may have thought that the fictionalized unit is based on reality, and they had to do cease and desist. So, by the way, Kate Stewart is their scientific advisor. She's kind of one in charge of the damn thing, so. Excuse me. And the joke, like, English? No, Scottish, because the actor is Scottish. I thought it was kind of funny. By the way, the writer of this book is Robbie Morrison. Now, I have no idea if this person's related to Grant Morrison. We see this guy with his sports car just talking to look like his Bluetooth earpiece, who then is like pick up some coins and then sucked his crack, and then of course we have weird stuff happening at school, and then we have this happened. Yes, this weird underground thing called the Fractures. I wonder if this is a nod to Matt Smith's era with the cracks in the universe. And of course, you also have Capaldi wearing his 3D glasses. Yes, this was a cover for him. Also, he would later on, I think it was during the second season. I think it was. This is because he used a sonic screwdriver here, which means it's set like after season before season 2 of the second series. Because starting with his second series, he started to wear sonic sunglasses, and he wore this throughout his second and third series until they finally switched back to sonic screwdriver. And there's stuff with dinosaurs here. And by the way, in case you're a little curious still about Kate Stewart, now she didn't take the name Lethbridge just for herself as Stewart. Yes, she is the daughter of Brigadier Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. She's his daughter. That's true, but she didn't want the full hyphen last name to avoid special treatment. She mentioned this in basically her debut episode 3, which I believe was during Matt Smith's second series. And if I remember correctly, for her appearing during Capaldi's time, she appeared a couple times, I remember correctly. She first appeared in the two-parter that ended Capaldi's first series, which involved the Cybermen, and then she appeared in a story involving the Zygons, because there's no mention of the presidency thing here. So yeah, this is where this is set, between those two series, and people infected. Then we have a brief image of a Gallifreyan Time Lord. There's the cube stuff here. A lot of really good stuff here. It's like this writer clearly watched the show and remembers some of the stuff about Capaldi. And then there's a clear nod to various Doctor Who villains on this page here for the story Gangland. We have an Ice Warrior, Rassilon, a Centauran, a Selene, a Jadoon, a Zygon. Though the Selene itself is not the same design as the classic series, and same thing with the Centauran. That's the new Who design. And I believe that's an Ood. As for this one's the mask, I'm not sure what that one is. So, then we have various stuff here. Now, Rassilon itself, for some weird reason, I'm not sure why this is. Yeah, it's clearly Rassilon. But for some reason, they go with the Timothy Dalton design, not the one who... Now, this, of course, came out before the end of series, because this is said before then, so they're probably assuming they can still use Dalton's likeness, even though far away it looks like Dalton, but close up, yeah, it's not Dalton. And of course they play like a sci-fi version of Russian Roulette. And of course they go to Vegas, obviously, because of a place called the Sands. We see the Doctor playing craps. Really good here with the gang lines. I thought the story was really good. And then, by sheer randomness, we have Frank Sinatra pop up here. Yes, Frank Sinatra. Of course, Shinichi, yeah, that's clearly Frank Sinatra. One of the Rat Pack. Yep, they throw in the Rat Pack because then we have Dina Martelli and Solly Dancer. That's what they call them. Like, yeah, it's basically their... I'm guessing they probably, like, by likeness-wise... Yeah, it's clearly the Rat Pack, but they probably... I'm not sure the writer can use their names. They basically changed it, but clearly, yeah, it's the Rat Pack. Now, those who be curious, how the heck do I know about the Rat Pack? Simple. Oh, by the way, the black guy here, that's Sammy Davis Jr. And Dino, yeah, Dino's definitely his first name, and they go by a different name here. But yeah, the Rat Pack were a group of guys in the 50s and 60s who, there was also a group called the Frat Pack, basically, which I think was Frat Pack, I think it was. because that one included Robert Downey Jr. Basically, he's a group of up-and-coming actors who just happen to come out in the same period of time, and some might be a global group of his friends. There's also the Brat Pack, which basically are known for doing 2 movies basically overall together. One was The Breakfast Club. The other was Salem Was Fire. In this group, they included Demi Moore. Yep. I read about this, so I know about it. So it's great to see the Rat Pack here. And stuff here with the Jejune and more crazy stuff for the Vegas stuff. But this book is awesome. I thought the book was really good. I give this book a 9 out of 10. Next up we have is Legendary Star-Lord Volume 3, known as Out of Orbit. This contains Star-Lord Volume 1, issues 5 through 8. And also collects Avengers issues 28, 51, 57, and 74. And there's a reason why these are here. So, Sam Humphries writes these issues. Now, those of you curious though, the trade paperback is referred to as Legendary Star-Lord, except the book that it's collecting is not Legendary Star-Lord. That was the previous book. This is the relaunch. Just known as Star-Lord. Yeah. I like the first 5 issues, which were basically Star-Lord Year 1. It's another retelling of his origin story. This actually was his 3rd origin story that he did. Despite the fact this retcon Bendis' origin story that he established the character. Mostly put, what's the purpose of these 3 issues? Simply put, basically, after the events of Secret Wars, despite the fact in Black Vortex, we actually had it where Peter Quill proposed to Kitty Pryde in space, they split up. And this book explores their breakup and kind of revealed the reason why they broke up. Just too many differences. My guess is behind the scenes, Bendis must have basically just did something higher up that Marvel Comics didn't like very much. It's probably caused him to leave the company a few years later because of this. They probably didn't like the fact that Kitty Pryde got engaged to Peter Quill. And also, this is before Disney bought Fox to get back to the X-Men. And because Marvel was doing that blood feud with the X-Men, that they probably decided to have it where in the 8-month time skip, these two split up. And this 3-part story was pretty much the explanation of why they had to end their relationship. There was like too many differences, arguing, that's kind of basically the explanation here. And it's all done by the Collector, who in the book is drawn to look like Benicio del Toro, the actor who played him in the movie. Yeah, then we have like Iron Man Paper 2, and then like Star-Lord and Star-Lord, and then we have many different Star-Lords. It's like Star-Lord's Glory. And then here's the Collector. Now as for the other books per se, well, here's kind of what happens over the course. It's like they were going to, and then it goes nowhere. So 28 is noteworthy for 2 major things. It's Giant Man. It's basically Hank Pym becoming Goliath, and second, it's the debut of the Collector. There he is. Yeah, that's simply the reason for this comic. For this particular issue, was noteworthy for. Who wrote this issue? I believe this was Roy Thomas. I think it was, because Lee left with issue. Actually, it was Lee. Yeah, Lee wrote this. Don Heck is the artwork, but that's mostly what this issue is known for. So, 51 basically is noteworthy for. Well, it's an appearance about the Collector, but I believe this comic was the debut. I think it was of Ultron. Yes, I think this comic was the debut of Ultron. Well, of course, an appearance about the Collector. And then we have a... Now those of you curious about issue 51, this was a Roy Thomas issue. Yep, he wrote this one. 174, I believe that... Oh yeah, this is Bill Mantle, just another issue featuring the Collector where he fights the Avengers. That's kind of what these 3 issues are. It's like... They probably threw these collector stories in here because, and this is my personal theory on the matter, they threw them in because the book was short. So they just couldn't have a trade be 3 issues. Like, oh crap, we need to have more issues. And because it features the collector, and the fact he was just featured in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, well, in his second live-action experience, by the way, because he made his first actual live-action appearance in a post-credit scene cameo in, of all things, Thor in the Dark World. Yep, and this is where we introduce, basically, the collector, and of course he's featured in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I think after that, he was featured again until Infinity War, and then I think was mentioned, and I think I haven't seen the holiday special. Apparently, the holiday special is when the Guardians bought Nowhere from him, because apparently he owned Nowhere, despite in the comics there was no clear ownership of the the Celestial Head. But so I'm guessing, like I said, the reason why they included it because he was featured in the Guardians movie. I guess because no one's probably read the issues. That's probably the reason. Now, why did the book end at 3 issues? Well, there was a reason why. Humphreys mentioned the reason why the book ended because Civil War II was coming up, and they wanted to resume publication of the book after Civil War I. Civil War II. And it did! Except Humphreys didn't write the title. Nope, that was Chip Zdarsky. And it lasted for a whopping 5 issues. Then nothing. Yeah, no more Star-Lord books after that. Yes, between this book and Legendary Star-Lord, there was the Kitty Pryde and Star-Lord book that was a Secret Wars title. But aside from that, that's like nothing else for Star-Lord left to cover, because I have practically covered everything. Yeah, I thought at the time this book came, because I remember there was the Zahn book that I read. I thought this was Volume 2. No, this is clearly Volume 1, according to Marwicka. Which is interesting, because the first book was written by Timothy Zahn. In his first and only Now, as far as I can tell, for comic books, his first comic was A Knowledge Quest Star, which was a mini-series. And then he had a Legendary Star book by Sam Humphreys, which I reviewed the two books right now. Star-Lord Kitty Pryde, I have not reviewed that yet. There is also Star-Lord Volume 1 and Volume 2. So apparently the one that appears is not the same one who debuted in Marvel Preview number 4. Nope, it's a completely different character. Somehow. It's kind of interesting with this guy here. Oh yeah, I think I know why. Because there was the hyphen Star-Lord. Yeah, that was simply the reason for it. Oh yeah, and that Star-Lord was a completely different character who just happened to wear the same costume. So in case you're curious though, when did 616 Star-Lord actually appear? The one people are very familiar with. He first appeared in Thanos. He is mostly put a rebooted version of the character, because apparently in this version they kind of ignored his early appearances. They probably acknowledging the fact that it had just, well, how should I put it? Basically, where like different universe. So, what did Star-Lord do right after this book ended? Well, he continued putting Guardians. Obviously, even for its relaunch, he basically appeared in Guardians. So, yeah. And then after his relaunch, of course, which, by the way, Volume 2 was the last Star-Lord book to publish because, well, he basically was appearing very sporadically. He was appearing all over the place. I'm glad the fact he was so active. Those who be curious, though, what is his most recent comic he appeared in? And that, believe it or not, was Imperial. Yep. They decided to have him appear in this book. In the very first issue where there is no mention of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, but in the case of the Star-Lord book, it's done. Yep, it's done. So this was an ongoing series. The second volume was an ongoing series for Tuzetsky. This book in particular apparently was deemed a limited series, which made no freaking sense given the fact there was nothing in the cover that stated that. But those who are curious, are the Guardians of the Galaxy still active? Well, not really. They have not really done much anything since their last ongoing ended. Oh yeah. Ever since that book ended, which by the way was Colin Kelly, Jackson Lazing, this group has done very little. Like, basically after the book ended, of course, they had an annual for Guardians, which apparently was published after the book ended. Then you had a graphic novel for Rakuten Group for a couple of these ones. Then they appeared in Giant Size Thor Volume 2, Number 1. Then Marvel Super Adventure Stories Number 1. And Jeff the Land Shark Number 2. Yeah. Maybe Imperial, maybe reignite the Guardians, who knows. Yep, so yeah, that's particularly took a view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up is Donovan. Okay, next video. Bye.